First and foremost, I would like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles, the elders of the great millstone, and shout out to the whole cholesterol, the 144,000, Shalom. So, right. So, do want to get this lesson in done. What was that last night? Early morning. I was watching a lesson, and I knew when I woke back up, I was gonna get this lesson done. So, Lord willing, it's edifying, right? I ain't really come up with a title yet to the lesson. Excuse me, I'm walking the dog. So excuse me if you hear cars drive by, you hear dogs barking. But I ain't really come up with a title or nothing yet, right? But it's in the category of, these other nations were nothing to the Most High, right? The other nations never had any type of leverage or none of that over the Israelites with the Most High, right? We the ones who had the we the ones who had the covenant, both covenants, right? The promises, right? The laws and commandments were given to us, right? So that kills all that Christianity thinking. It kills all that really all the other. It kills it all, man. And all these false religions and these false all these false religions and these false how can I put it, like doctrines? Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's all made up, man. Man-made religions, right? Well, here's a lineage, right? Here's a lineage of people. I've done a lesson the other day, going into, in Isaac Shaddai seed be called, the many scriptures where the Most High is saying, right? He's the God, he's the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So all these other religions that's coming out, or all these other people thinking that, they got a chance to be saved, they lost, man. Like the scriptures say, man, they err not knowing the scriptures, man. And so the priest I want to start with, matter of fact, I'll start with err not knowing the scriptures, really. Right? Matthew's 22, verse 29, right? And it says, and Yahweh shall answer, said unto them, ye do err not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of Yahweh, man. So they don't know the power of Yahweh, right? They err not knowing the scriptures, right? Because this knowledge comes to us through the spirit of Yahweh Shah, right? So his power, this knowledge is given us through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. He's not dealing with them. They don't got the spirit to understand these things. They don't got the spirit to, be able to understand the mysteries that this book speak about, right? And that's kind of what the Apostle Rumlot was going into in his lesson, right? It really was what he was going into in his lesson. Talking about how a lot of people try to complicate this truth. But as we know, right? As we know, his ways are plain to the holy and stumbling block to the wicked, right? So if you got the spirit of Yahweh Shah, you're going to be able to understand these things. You're going to be able to, how that spirit to dissect these things and eat the whole roll, and be able to eat it up, till you're able to learn and teach, desire to sense and milk, so you're able to eat meat at that point, right? You're able to eat the meat, right? You're able to eat hard food, right? When you're a baby, you desire the milk. When you're young, when you grow up, you're able to eat food, steak, right? You're able to eat these things, hamburgers, right? Beef burgers, right? So come to that point where the spirit is on you, you learn, and now you're able to teach, right? But they can't teach, right? Because they've been taught wrong. They teach wrong because they've been taught wrong, right? They know the ways, the wise of this world. They know the wisdom of this world, right? But we ain't got the wisdom of this world. We got the wisdom of Yahweh Shah, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, right? But getting to it, I want to go to 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 2, right? And, verse 2 Corinthians 5, so I can bear with me, right? 2 Corinthians 5, right? And I want to read verse 17 and 18, right? Well, I'll really read on now, right? Uh, so, as it read, right? As it said, you know, um, you know, excuse me, Mr. Car coming, trying to hold my dog out the way. All right, so as it read, right, 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 17, right, it says, therefore, if any man be in Hamashiach, Yahushua the anointed, right, right, it says, he is a new creature, right? Because like the elder was saying yesterday, you know, when I watched his lesson, you know, and it's coming, right? When you put off that old man, right? You put off that old man, right? Put, uh, right? It says, Ephesians 4:21, right? It says, if so be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him as the truth as is in the Yahushua, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, right? And be renewed in the spirit, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, right? So therefore you put off the old man and you reborn again in spirit. John chapter 3, right? And how shall I say? Can't no man enter the kingdom unless he be, rather paraphrasing, unless he be reborn again of the spirit, right? So you put off that old man, you become a spiritual man, right? When you become a spiritual man, you know, that's when you let go of these lustful deeds, man. You let go of these lustful ways, right? You let go of these lustful things. I should put my dog. But you let go of these lustful things, man, right? You put out that old man and you focus on this truth, right? Because you know what it says, Galatians 5:8, right? When you Galatians 5:18, right? When you're under the law, when you walk in the spirit, you're not under the law. Meaning, right? When you got the spirit of Yahushua, you automatically gonna subscribe under that law, man. Your spirit not gonna lust after the lustful thing that the flesh would. You're gonna subscribe after the righteousness of Yahushua. Right? That's why it says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, right? Like Paul say, my conscience bear me witness, right? Romans 9:1, my conscience bear witness, right? So going back to, well, I keep reading on, right? It says, and that you put on the new man, which after Yahweh is created in the righteous and true holiness. Right, once again, Galatians 5:18, right? When you put on that new man, when you put on that new man, let go of that fleshly mindset and become spiritual, right? You start seeing everything spiritual, right? You start seeing out the righteous, right? You start seeing the ways of this world, the ways of the flesh is nothing, right? Because the body the flesh gonna be over, the flesh gonna be done away with one day, right? The spirit gonna live forever, right? So we strengthen the spirit, we strengthen our spirit, right? It says, which is after Yahweh is created in righteousness and true holiness, right? True holiness, I just said Galatians 5:18, that's why it says that, right? When you under the spirit, right, you're not under the law, because when you in that spirit, the spirit chasing out the righteous, so you got the spirit of Yahushua, right? When you got the spirit of Yahushua, the righteous spirit, you automatically gonna chase after that. But Khan, right, we're in the flesh, right? That's why Paul said it, right? That what I want to do, I don't do. What I want to do, I don't do, and what I don't want to do, I do, because we're in that flesh. We sold under sin. We bondage to sin in this flesh. That's why you got to move in the spirit, because the flesh gonna lust for things of the flesh, right? But the spirit gonna lust for things of the spirit, and lust for things of the spirit, and it's the righteousness of Yahushua, right? So keep reading on, right? And it says, wherefore putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be ye angry and sin not, right? Let the sun not go down on your wrath, right? That's fleshful things, right? You be mad all day, you mad at somebody, let this thing go. But in the flesh, in the spirit, you ain't really holding that anger in, because you already know, for one, right? Hey, we let the Most High handle it. And for two, right, it ain't nothing nobody could do to us, nobody could say to us, you know, that could stop this truth, or that could, you know, go against this truth, you know, because the only thing you can do for this truth, nothing against this truth, right? So therefore, we not letting the sun go down on our wrath, man. We're not being angry, we're not being mad, we're not having these emotional feelings in the flesh. Like, we moving in the spirit, we ain't caring about nothing in this flesh, we ain't care about nothing in this world, right? If it ain't concerning Yahushua, right? But Go back to it, right? 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 17 again, right? It says, therefore, if any man be in the anointed of Mashiach, Yahushua, right? He is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new, right? Become new of the spirit, be born again of the spirit, right? It says, all things are of Yahweh who hath, all things are of Yahweh who hath reconciled us to himself by Hamashiach Yahushua, man. So, and going into that, well, I'll read it on before I bring my notes out on it, right? It says, it has given us to the ministry of reconciliation, right? So he brought us back, right? And going into that word, reconciled us, right? Going into that word, right, is meaning those who are to reconcile those who are at variance. And variance means disagreement, right? So how did we, we made ourselves degenerates, right? Let me see, degenerates. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right, cut that back off so I get all these notifications. Jeremiah 2, Slacky for notifications, right? Jeremiah 2 and starting at 20, right? It says, for of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidest, I will not transgress when upon every high hill and under every green tree thy wanderers playing the harlot, right? So I want you to see right here. I got in my notes, right? It says, broken thy yoke, your captivity, right? We went into captivity before our transgression, right? It says, for of old time I have broken thy yoke, right? Right? But it says, and burst thy bands. And thou saidest, I will not transgress. Because what did the Most High not save us from captivity in Egypt? When we not bonded to Egypt, that's why Exodus 20 and 2, what it says, that's why Babylon is spiritually called Egypt, right? The land it was in bondage there, the land of bondage, right? Exodus 20 and 2, verse 2, right? But he says, when upon every high hill and under every green tree, thou wanderest, man. You got all these people under all these doctrines, all these things, breaking all the laws, going up on all these false religions, under these false, falling after the ways of these other nations, falling after the customs of other people, right? He says, under every green tree, thou wanderest playing the harlot, It's like a whore, man. It's like a whore, man. A whore, she getting in every car, she laying down with everything. People laying down with every doctrine, man. People laying down with every doctrine. People laying down with every way of this world except for the true knowledge of Yahweh Shah, right? And it says, yeah, I planted thee a noble vine, holy, a right seed. So we're supposed to be a noble vine, a right seed, man. Righteous unto Yahweh Shah, right? It says, how then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me, right? Because why? The Most High was done with our shit, man. Most High was done with our shit. Most High was done with Israel, right? That's why he said in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 9, what he say, man? If it weren't for the remnant, right, our nation would be like in Sodom and Gomorrah. Meaning what? If it weren't for the remnant he left for us that would understand this knowledge, that would understand this truth, that would not bow down to the image of Baal, right, then our nation would be destroyed, turned to ashes like Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Right? It says, for thou wash thee with nitrate and take thee much soap, yet thy iniquity is marked before me, said the Lord Yahweh. Right? Because, bro, the things that we done, right? The Most High got tired of all the sacrifices, the Day of Atonement and all that, right? The Most High got tired of that. These people still following iniquity, falling after these things, right? And once again, we in the flesh, right? So we ain't gonna be able to keep the laws perfect 100%, but we striving, right? And that's why we understand the we got faith and grace of Yahweh Shah because we understand the reason of his coming, right? See, a lot of people don't understand the reason of his coming. And we talked about this a little bit at camp yesterday. People don't understand, people underestimate the reason of Yahweh Shah coming to really reconcile us, until the Most High, right? He brought us back under the fold. He brought us back under the prong. He brought us back to that. The Most High was done away with us, man, right? Because we made ourselves degenerates, right? You know, and that's what these other nations think, right? What I want to go to. What I want to go to. That's what these nations think, right? Let me see. Bear with me. Bear with me. Might be 32. Bear with me. Bear with me. Yeah, okay. Con, right? Deuteronomy 32:16, right? Said they provoked him to jealousy with strange God, with abomination provoked they him to anger, right? It said they sacrificed unto devils, not to Yahweh, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful and hast forgotten Yahweh that formed thee. And when the Lord Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters, right? Going off, made themselves degenerates, right? He said, I will hide my face from them. I will see their end shall be, for they are a froward generation. Froward just meaning hard to deal with, you know, somebody who disrespectful, really, man, right? It says, children in whom is no faith. They don't got no faith, or they don't fear Yahweh Shah, man, right? Because they run around here falling out all these other doctrines, falling out all these other ways, right? When we got our own kingdom, our own heritage, our own way of life, our own customs, Yahweh Shah give us the laws, right? Acts 5:31. Yahweh Shah came and laid down to give Israel repentance, right? But they still go out and worship Christianity, do all these things, right? He gave. That's why Yahweh Shah say, man, if I haven't came, there will be no cloak for their sins, right? But since I came, there is no cloak for their sins, because Yahweh Shah came with the message. These people just blatantly still ignore them, man. These people blatantly still just going to do what they want, right? It says they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, right? I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with the foolish nation. Right, and that's why all these other people thinking that they get that the Most High is coming back for everybody, or the Most High is dealing with them, right? Because the Most High put us, he sent us through this captivity, he put us through these things, right? Put us through the curses, and these other nations, right? Especially Esau, Edom, they having they leeway right now, you know. Esau, Edom, we know they us is in the hands of the wicked. Esau is the wicked. They run this place right now, you know. They in charge of this place right now. So they feel like in their hearts and their minds that, you know, that they the chosen people. They prevent Wisdom Solomon 2, and I want to say 13. They profess to have the knowledge. I'll read it real fast, right? I had brought this out in my lesson, I think it was yesterday, right? Wisdom Solomon 2 and 13, he professes to have the knowledge of Yahweh. He called himself the child of the Lord, right? That's how they feel. They feel like the Most High is dealing with them, but they don't know the Most High dealing with them on the left-hand side, right? He's just using them to bring out punishment out on us. Psalms 17, right? Most High, hide them from me, which are your sword. Who is his sword? Esau them. He using them to, you know, bring his punishment on us. Just like how he'll use a Jake to bring judgment on another Jake, right? Those left-hand spirits, right? But we're the righteous spirits. When we receive the spirit, how about Shah? It's from the right-hand side, the righteous spirit, man. The honorable spirits, the holy spirits until you how about Shah. Not the left-hand side, not the ones, you know, like you can read in one account. I want to say, I don't want to quote it wrong, so I go to it real fast. 1 Kings 19, it might be 22 and 19. 1 Kings 22 and 19. We'll go read it. But on this account, right, when the Most High sent a spirit on the left-hand side to go lie into the mouth of all his prophets to be a lie, to speak a lie, right? The Most High do that. The Most High sent the spirits on the left-hand side to do these things, right? That's why these people control with. People think they got the, you know, they got the righteous spirits. How about These people are controlled with. Most High put those demons on them, man, right? But that's why you can't move in the flesh, man. Right, you gotta move in the spirit of Yahweh Shah so he can deal with you accordingly, man. right? The Most High will deal with you accordingly. If you in the righteous state, Yahweh Shai, if He allow you to understand this knowledge, understand this truth, and return back, He dealing with you in the righteous standpoint. But these people who caught up in the world, people who caught up in the world, people who out here doing all this iniquity and all these things, man, Most High got them left hand spirits on them, man. They gone, man. They set to be destroyed, right? And Esau, Edom, Most High definitely using His left hand spirits on them. Right? That's why they thinking that, they under the fold. They thinking that they gonna be saved, thinking that, they tricking the people, deceiving the people, thinking that, the Most High dealing with them, right? And they confusing our people so much that, they speak so much lies, right? They speak so much envy and strife. You got so many false teachers, right? Philippians 1:15, you got so many false teachers throughout our nation, right? Who preachers of Christianity, Islam, things of nature, right? They preach envy and strife that they down there they confuse the law, they confuse the righteous teaching. When you tell somebody here Israelite, they make it seem like we just babbling at the mouth, you know? Oh damn, why come on, I've been going to church voodoo, yeah. You ain't gonna learn this in the church, man. These people don't want you to know this. These people to hide this from you, because when you go back to 2 Corinthians 5, right? I'm in 2 Chronicles, Salak, excuse me for that. When you go back to 2 Corinthians 5, right, and read it again, right, it says, and all things are of Yahweh, who hath reconciled us to Himself by Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and have given us to the ministry of reconciliation, right? Because He brought us back into His fold, man. He was angry with us. Who's that disagreement, man? I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, it was a disagreement. We broke the covenants, right? The things we were supposed to keep, we didn't keep. That's a disagreement. We went against the Most High, right? But He sent His Son, Yahweh Shai, right, to be the ultimate sacrifice. Because we used to sacrifice lamb, sheep, goat, things of that nature, right? But He sent His Son, right? He sent his Son in the form of the flesh to lay down for all our sins, right? And to bring us, and that's why we're not judged by the law. We're judged by that faith and grace. But that's why we brought back into the fold Yahweh Shai. And that remnant understand these things, man, right? And that's why it's so, Elder Pastor Hart always said, man, that's why, hey, either way, I watched him lesson yesterday when he was going to this saying, right? That's why you don't go up here and do these debates. You don't get up on these screens and do all these things of that nature, because why? I'll tell you right now, man, even if you reject being an Israelite, you still an Israelite, because it's not a religion, And like I say, Apostle Hart is talking about this, but it's not a religion, man. It's not no thing where you can just come in and get out. No, you always a Hebrew Israelite. If you are the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, you are a Hebrew Israelite, no matter if you deny it or not, right? You are a Hebrew Israelite. That's what you are. You of that lineage, right? This is a heritage thing. This ain't no pick and choose thing. This ain't no switch from Christianity. No, it ain't none of that, right? It ain't no. Hey, you either understand it or you don't. So ain't no need of us trying to get out here and entice you and trick you into believing it, right? Because at the end of the day, we know this truth is for the elect, man. It's for the elect, the ones who didn't bow down to the image of Baal, the ones who the Most High left this remnant for. Matter of fact, and I'm gonna bring out Isaiah 1:9 just cause, right? Just cause I'm in it, right? But I'm gonna get this real fast before I let it slip my mind, right? Let me see. I want to start at. I started verse 12, right? It says Hebrews 9:12, right? Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by His own blood He entered into the holy place, having ordained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer, right? Heifer, the red bull is to burn, right? It's to burn the purify themselves, clean themselves, their sins, right? To purify themselves, right? I think you read that. I think that's Numbers. Real fast, let me see. I want to quote it wrong. Hef. There. Let me just go to Numbers real fast. That's Numbers. Because I remember Elder Pastor Rumla broke this down. Hold up. Yeah, okay. Wadi Habashin outside. Right. Numbers 19, right? You can go read about this, right? About the red heifer, right? Understanding, the purpose, right? Just quick notes on it, right? And that's how you would purify, like I said right here, right? That's how you scarlet sin, that's how you would purify your sin, right? The red heifer. But going back to it, I just brought it out just so you can get an understanding. That's in Numbers 19. You can read the whole chapter to get an understanding of that, right? Like Elder Pastor Harvey saying, they read, read, man. That's the thing with our nation, man. People don't read, man. They want everything handed to them, or they want to hear something, right? You can tell them the truth, and they sit right there, seem interested in it. And then you go home, they don't do no studying on their own. And don't get me wrong, you feel me? We not all perfect, but even the times you don't want to study, man, you want to study, right? Because you want to gain knowledge, right? This wisdom is what's gonna help you in a lot of times, man. Right? You want to study as much as you can because and I think I just seen one of the brothers do a lesson on this, right? About the family of the word, right? Because when that time comes, right, when they shut down this YouTube, right? You see, they been already trying to get rid of the Bible, right? They already been trying to take the Black history out of school, even though they don't teach you about the Hebrew Israelite, but they already trying to get rid of our nation in general, man. They want us to get white from mirrors because they don't want us to know who we are, right? It's gonna come to a time where you ain't gonna see the brothers out here on YouTube no more. You ain't gonna see the elders, apostles, and prophets, a GMS who got 100% truth through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? You're not gonna see them out on the highways and byways. You ain't gonna be able to, hey, the word gonna be shut up. The word gonna be shut up. That door is gonna be closed, man, right? So what are you gonna do then, right? What are you gonna do then? But, right, to get into it, right, get back to it, while I was at verse 13, right, it says, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctify to the puring of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Mashiach, right, who through eternal spirit offered himself without spot to Yahweh, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God, right? Because why? Right? And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament. What is the New Testament? New covenant, right? Got it right here in my notes, man. The first testament is the first covenant. Yahweh is the mediator of the second covenant, right? That's why the second covenant haven't came yet, right? Because you go in Jeremiah 31, what it says, right? We're going to be back in our spiritual bodies. We're going to be made pure. We're going to be made white, man, right? We're going to be made pure, right? We're going to have, ain't going to be no more sins. Sin going to be done away with. That ain't happened yet, right? So we're not in the second covenant yet. Only thing that happened was what Yahweh Shah laying down for us. Now we say through that faith and grace, understanding his purpose, right? But to keep going on, it says, and for this cause, he's the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of transgressions that were under the first testament, was the first covenant, they that which are called might receive the promise of eternal heritage, right? For whereas the testament, there must also of necessity be the death of the tester, right? And that's why Yahweh Shah, right? Let me see if I got it right here. Yeah, the first test was dedicated by blood, right? This is what I want to get to, right? It says, for where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the tester, right? Because in the first covenant, right, we would sacrifice the lamb, sheep, goat, right? But in that second covenant, what did Yahweh Shah do? Yahweh Shah came and laid down for us, man. He came and laid down for our nation. That's why you can't make his sacrifice void, man. That's why That's why they out here teaching these vain things. They out here teaching these false teachers saying, you got to keep the law to 100%. No, right? Because that's the reason of Yahweh Shah come and laying down for us, right? We say through that faith and the grace, but we still got to show our faith through our work. We still got to strive to the best of our abilities, right? We still got to get out here and feed the sheep. We still got to get out here and do these things that Yahweh Shah said to do, the will of Yahweh Shah. But we not judged by the law, man, right? And all of Israel will be saved, but 2/3 will be destroyed first, man. 2/3 gonna be cut off, man. 2/3 gonna have to get that judgment, that destruction, man, right? But I want to go to Isaiah, while I still got it in my mind, right? Isaiah 1:9, right? And I started verse 2, right? It says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. The Lord has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children that have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people do not consider. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger, the Holy One of Israel. Right? So with all these false things, with all these false teachers, all this false knowledge of, thinking that all the other nations can be saved. No. He only been dealing with Israel since the beginning. Like Elder Pastor Ron was talking about, like I got in my notes, man. The only thing that, these other nations got the most high is what? They gonna be our slaves. They're gonna be our servants, right? They're gonna be our servants. That's the only thing. He ain't dealt with them. He ain't gave them the promise, the curses. It's like he ain't gave them the promise, the curses. He ain't gave them none of that, right? You know. And matter of fact, why you saying that? You gonna say that because why? When you read, I think it's Amos, right? You gotta understand these curses, the curses that we living through right now, they gonna go on to who? Esau, Edom, right? But they didn't go through these things, man. They didn't go through these things for a punishment. They didn't go through these things. They gonna go through that. They go through the thing for justice. Judgment is justice. They gonna go through that thing for judgment for the things that they done, right? We going through a punishment because what? We're the children, right? We the children. That's like if you know you gonna whoop your child for breaking your window, right? Cause that's your child, right? But for if somebody else's child break your window, you gonna want justice. You gonna want that paid for. You gonna want that handled, right? So that's what it is most time. They gonna pay for the things that they done, right? But to get back to it, right? It said they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Ye revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores that have not been closed, neither bound up, neither multiplied with ointment. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Your land strangers devour in your presence, and it is desolate and has overthrown by strangers. What I was saying in my notes, man. The land are full of jakes. We got pushed out. When? 70 AD. Luke 21-20, man. Right? When the Romans invaded our homeland, right? You know, we fled, right? Fled all over. West East Africa. And you had some who stayed, right? You had some who stayed, right? You know, it's a book, and I put it in my notes. I put it in the description, right? It's called From Babylon to Timbuktu, man. Right? You should read it. Page 84 got it. Page 84 give you a good understanding of that, right? It says, "And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except the Lord of hosts, except the Lord Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah." Because why? If he didn't leave us that small remnant, our people would be destroyed, our people still going off. But the ones who understand his truth and the ones who understand his knowledge is the elect, that remnant which he left to understand this, man. Right? But he have not dealt with no other nation. He's still, right? Right? Romans 11:1, right? It's Paul talking, right? He says, "I say then, hath Yahweh cast away his people? Yahweh forbid. I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Yahweh hath not cast away his people which he foreknew. Wote ye not at the scripts of Elias, how he maketh intercession unto Yahweh against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and did down thine altars, and my left alone they seek my life. But what saith the answer of Yahweh unto him? I have reserved unto myself 7,000 men who have not bowed to the image of Baal." Right? Even so at this present time, also there's a remnant according to the election of grace, man. Right? So the remnant, the elect, they understand this thing. We understand it, right? So he haven't done away with our nation, right? He sent Yahushua, who was what? The mediator, right? Who reconciled us into the faith, into the promise, who brought us back into the fold of Yahushua. Not no other nations, because he never had no disagreement with them. He never gave them no covenant. He never gave them none of these things. It was all for Israel, right? And I got two quick in the precepts, right? The book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, 147, right? I got a couple quick in the precepts, right? Psalms 147, 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. And he hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. He had not dealt so with any nation, man. He only dealing with Israel, man. The Hebrew Israelites, right? Second Esdras, right? Let me see. That's why I say if people don't understand it, right? But you can't. Christians don't want to hear this, man. These Christians don't want to hear this. Esau don't want to hear this, man. They got their ears shut to it. But it's okay, right? That's okay though, because it's true for the elect. As long as the elect receive it and we do the will, we out here prophesying and we letting the warning go. If they want to reject it, okay, cool. Revelation 11:18, let them know, man, that judgment is coming, right? That judgment, matter of fact, before I go to that judgment is coming, right? Revelation 11:18 say, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they shall be judged, right? Because the judgment is coming, and thou shalt give reward to thy servants, the prophets, and the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should have destroyed them which destroy the earth, right? Who destroyed the earth? Esau, Edom. But the Most High gonna use that against them when it says, thou shalt give reward to thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, right? Because what? We all saints, but ain't many called to be a saint. Ain't many out here prophesying against this place. Ain't many out here letting people know, return back, or you gonna be destroyed, right? We let Esau them know, and the Most High gonna use that against them, man. That's why he said, ain't no cloak, ain't no cloak for their sin. Ain't no excuse for their sin, man, because Yahweh brought the message. And he got the servants, the prophets, Proverbs 1:23. You got the servants, the prophets, the saints, the ones who called to be saints. I have prophesying and let they know, giving a warning unto Israel and prophesying against this wicked kingdom, right? The Most High gonna use that against them. My servants, but not here let y'all know this for over and over. Y'all blatantly ignored it, right? Esau, Edom, ain't nothing you could do. He said, you should surely drink of the cup. But Jake, you ain't never returned back. You ignored it, right? So, well, that's on you, right? But to go back to 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 56, right? Well, I started 55, right? Well, I started 54, right? He said, and after Adam, also whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, right? Adam, Yahweh Shai, King Solomon, Isaac, same spirit, right? Whom thou hast made Lord of all thy creatures, of him of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen, who was his chosen people. Deuteronomy 7:6, Deuteronomy 14:2, Deuteronomy 32:8. Israel is his chosen people, man, right? And as thou hast spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou hast made the world for our sakes, right? As for the other people which also come from Adam, right? These other nations, right? He says, thou hast said thou hast said they are nothing but like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them that fall from a vessel, man. Right? So they're like unto spittle, like unto spit unto him. He ain't dealt with no other nation, only Israel, man. Right? And one more precept for wrap it up, right? Give my dog some water. It's a good weather out here today, you know. And, Shabbat Shalom, right? Shabbat Shalom, right? It's the Sabbath, right? It's the Sabbath, Friday sundown, Saturday sundown, right? But let's see, what's that? Isaiah 45 and let me see. Bear with me. Hold on, bear with me. I'm trying to find out what it might be 40. No, I ain't gotta be 45. Bear with me. It's like my fault. Bear with me. Let's see. This the one I want. What I'm trying to see is But I really thought it was in here, and when he said, all right, but we'll read this, right? I really was trying to find a precept where he said, let me see, real fast. Trying to think of it. I haven't dealt with. I know songs probably come up. Yeah, songs come up. Dang, okay, let me see, I'm gonna type in Isaiah, see if it come up. Yeah, it's only coming up in songs, but Lord willing, it comes to me before I end this, right? But I'll read this, right, let me see. I'm gonna read right here, Isaiah 45, starting verse 3, where he says, "And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places, and thou mayest know that I, the Lord Yahweh, which called thee by thy name, am the power of Israel," right? And it says, "For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect, I have even called thee by thy name, I have surnamed thee, thou hast not known me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I graded thee up, thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun, and from the west, that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else." So with that being said, right, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadice. Double honors to the apostles, elders, of great millstone, and shout out to the whole flesh star with 144,000.